Welcome back to Afternoon Express. I hope that you're having a glorious Monday afternoon. So one of the most valuable traits you can teach a child is the quality of being appreciative in all spheres of life. Shahana Mia, a social worker from the Parent Centre, joins us to share some of the things that you can do to teach your little one to be appreciative. Welcome back to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
Lovely to have you.
Thank you.
So all of my friends have got children, and especially at a certain age group, the only thing I hear the most of is, you know, I try my best for my kid, I try and give them everything, and they're so ungrateful. Why do you think parents feel, or why are children, I suppose, unappreciative nowadays?
I think we first need to understand what's the interpretation of a parent when they say, my child's unappreciative.
Yeah.
Because if we unpack that, what is the need of the parent?
Yes.
Where is the parent's expectation, and why is there disappointment in the behavior? The parent is expecting a certain behavior or a communication style from the child, which the child is obviously not reciprocating.
Yeah.
And appreciation comes with gratitude. And that's an evolving process.
Yeah.
And at a different age of the child's lifespan, they will learn that value differently. So I think before we actually just look at why, we need to understand from the parent itself, what do they mean
So
by that?
how would you counsel that when a parent comes into your office and they say, oh, my kid is so ungrateful, so unappreciative? How would you counsel a parent in that environment?
So at the Parent Centre, we deal with parents, and the parent will come in with this particular challenge that they have.
Yeah.
So we look at where is the unmet need. If the child's not challenged by this, then obviously it's a parent's need.
Yeah.
So the parent has the challenge, and then we help the parent understand that. So what is your expectation? What are you needing? Do you want approval? Do you want recognition? Do you want acknowledgement? Are you doing too much for your child and then expecting the child to be grateful in return? And then that's a disappointment. What is your value? Have you taught your child certain values, and which becomes a belief system in your home, and then you've created a rule around it? And if your child is a young child and hasn't understood that, the child will obviously behave as a child would, and the parent feels, I've done so much for you.
Yeah.
So maybe sometimes the parent would feel as a victim.
Yeah.
Because the child hasn't appreciated. But we need to understand, where is that unmet need first?
I don't believe that you get badly behaved children. I think you get bad parents. And I mean, I've got so many godchildren, and one thing that really bothers me is when, you know, please and thank yous with children. And I sometimes, I will sit and enforce. I won't give something unless I get a please, and I won't, you know, let it go if I don't get a thank you. But should little things like that be enforced from a young age? I mean, how do you teach children the difference between right and wrong if they're not seeing it and if they're not learning? Because I don't think they know any better. So they're not being bad on purpose. They're just learning the world for the first time. So, I mean, where do parents go wrong in that environment?
Parents, I think, need to learn that they have to teach their child certain social skills.
Yeah.
It doesn't come naturally. And the first social environment you have is your home.
Yeah.
So it is the please, the thank you, sharing, responsibility in terms of taking chores and having to see that the world is not egocentric. It's very much, I am impacting the world and the world's impacting me. So yes, role modeling of certain behavior patterns, understanding that the child speaks through their behavior.
Yeah.
And if the parent then labels the child as misbehaving, it becomes a challenge. Rather, understanding that the behavior itself is something that needs to be rectified.
Yeah.
So by voicing those things, that can help quite a bit. And helping the child then just understand that, okay, these are our values in our home. This is what we would like to enforce. So I first, as a parent, need to then enforce that and help my child learn and understand that that is the way it needs to go.
Yeah.
This is young children.
Yeah.
Obviously, older children hopefully would have understood that your values are firmly embedded, and they will hopefully believe that.
It starts at young.
Absolutely.
So if you get it right when they're young, they grow into better people, maybe.
You hope so, yes, and you try.
I read such an interesting article today saying that children who to help with housework and that have got chores end up being more successful adults. And I think maybe that is a better way, I suppose, to discipline, that from young you would show responsibility and accountability so that you don't have to discipline kids when they're older. So how do you enforce that without being strict or without those little things being seen as a laborious task instead of just a responsibility and a duty that is just my role in the family?
So when we run our parenting workshops, positive parenting, the first 5 sessions are spent on your relationship with your child before disciplining. Because that's important, your foundational relationship. What is the communication style? Are there barriers to that? Is there a disconnect? Are you hearing your child? Is your child hearing you? Do you have an open set of communication? Do you understand your child's love language? Do you present to them in a way where they feel heard and understood? Does your child then reciprocate that? And all that works in with appreciation, and then discipline can come, because if the child feels loved and heard, they will hear you and they will know this is a responsibility, this is a chore that needs to be fulfilled because I'm part of the family circle, and it will be a lot easier for them to participate. But if they're enforced and they don't feel secure and safe in the home environment, they'll probably have an unconscious goal to get back at you and not do what you've asked them to do.
We hear so much that kids nowadays are entitled or spoiled. Do you think that parents are doing too much for their children? For example, like with children, they're always entertained now from a very young age, instead of just being told to go and play outside and entertain yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's this egocentric situation, and we need to understand that children need to be children at different ages, and we need to just help them support that way. So yes, I think always giving in to them, protecting them, saving them may not always be the best thing possible for them.
It's hard though, I'm sure.
Very hard, I know. But then we do become the victim. Because we first just taking on this role of protection, and the child becomes comfortable with that, and then we feel victimized, and we feel that they're not appreciating what we're doing for them. But we need to understand that depending on the situation, there needs to be a sense of accomplishment and achievement. So sometimes they need to fall, they need to make mistakes and learn from those. And it's about that process where they become grateful, and in turn, the happiness comes in rather than...
I'm going to be such a good parent one day just because of the lessons that you teach me. Thank you so much. We're going to chat more in a little while. Over to you, Pali.